and record this as I always do. Get back to it. Hope you got a pen to take notes. So, welcome to the 19, I call it the 19 Secrets to Real Estate Success. The first screen is a little backwards. Bada boom, here we go. I don't know where everybody else is. Let me make sure I'm not getting email that they're on a different link or something. Nope. All right, here we go. So, we all say that real estate isn't about HGTV, the general public, that they think it's a fairy tale. You go and look at 3 homes, you pick one, there's no counter offers. The seller, boom, takes your offer and you run off with this little fairy tale experience. And we know that's not the way it really is, right? So success leaves clues. So go figure out what somebody who was successful did and model that, improve it, but learn how they got to where they are, emulate it, and then, personalize the experience so that it is really you. So that's the first thing. So what's number 1? Oh, that dreaded word, database. It all starts with a plan. You've got, your database is the foundation to your real estate business. So who do you call? And for those of you on my mastermind call this morning, we talked about calling your vendors. So that the one-on-one, the allied resources, the people that you do business with should be sending money back to you, right? So the first rule of thumb in having it in a database is, well, to have one. Do you have one? Most people do. And a lot of them come with their brokerages. They have one. Sometimes you have to buy one separately, but have some sort of system. I don't care if it's putting your contacts in a certain list in your Gmail or whatever it is, or on a spreadsheet, but have a system so that you can systematically communicate with the people so that you're not calling the same people every 2 weeks. Feed it daily. I also said on my mastermind call this morning that you want to add new people to it every day. Whoever you contact, they go into your database that day. And of course, I also mentioned the other thing is to send them a handwritten note after that. And then we talked about follow-up was the second piece of the day. We'll get into time blocking in a little bit, but service all the people that come your way. If they're, no, I don't know anybody, but we might be selling late this year. My wife might be getting a job relocation. So make little tickler notes in your database so that you're able to service your leads in the way that, that they should be. And be a service provider. You see all these posts on Facebook, right? Everybody's like, hey, I want to serve 24 families this year. Who do you know? That's not being a service provider. That's selling yourself, or that's really all about putting yourself first. That's not helping the person. So I mentioned one thing you can do this month to help people is if they bought a home in 2019 to remind them about homestead exemption. It's just that simple. So what are your goals for database? So it actually, that to me, I don't think there's a specific number. I think the magic is in the formula, communicating with it systematically, so consistently and daily. So that's what you want to do. So remember that your database is your business plan. I mentioned in my mastermind call again this morning, we're actually in 2 businesses, the lead gen business and the real estate biz. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, the real estate business is when you have transactions, or you have listings, or you're out actively showing buyers, you have people that you're engaged with and you're working with to get to the closing table at some point in the game. Lead generation is finding the people or the listings, but the people have the listings, right? You want to list their homes. So lead generation is the foundational business. So technically there's 2. That's why I said this morning, the tip is to have your lead generation calls separate from your follow-up calls. Lead gen is your primary business. It's the foundation. Without the people, you don't have the real estate biz. So what's the best way to build it? So here's an idea. Again, start with the people that you know. Start with, and then go out to your friends and people you associate with socially. And then your haven't mets. Who are people in that group, right? So who are the people in your not met group? So it is obviously people you meet at networking events, at open houses. I mentioned earlier if you're involved in some kind of community or charity events. It's just other humans that don't know your name until you're introduced to them through some sort of arena, whether it be a business function or social function. So there's a smorgasbord of opportunity out there for real estate business. I don't want anybody to go, oh my God, there's 9,000 agents in Jacksonville, for example. I'm not worried about that. It's about you. So what's the second step? Lead with revenue and not expenses. But before we dive into this, let me back up to finish up on the database thing. Again, I just said that I'm not concerned about the 9,000 other agents out there, and I always coach my clients not to be ever either. I don't care if you've got 9,000 in your market or 1,300 or 13,000. It doesn't matter who you're competing against because you're building your own brand. Nike competes against Adidas and Puma and everybody else, right? And they're not worried about what everybody else is doing. They're just worried about getting their fair share of the market. So that's what we need to do, is worry about getting our fair share of the market. So relationships change. I mentioned earlier in my mastermind call that some people orphan their clients at the table, right? So maybe that was just a one-hit, one-kill wonder that the agent went in and closed the deal and they move on to somebody else and they don't have a follow-up system. They don't put their people in their database. So those are people that you can inherit. So relationships change. Likewise, we're going to have people that we think are going to be loyal to us, and all of a sudden their best friend's sister just got her real estate license. They're going to feed her some business. So that's why this is a continually evolving process to keep adding people to your database. It's just that simple. So back to leading with revenue. Number 2, my friends, not expenses. This is, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes that newer agents make. We call it chasing the shiny object, right? So we all get all those emails and text message solicitations and Facebook messages and on and on and on. People want to sell us the next best thing in real estate, right? So avoid the shiny objects. Everybody trying to sell you the next best lead generation system, and they're warning you all this change is made on Facebook and Instagram. So, oh my gosh, you're going to be left in the dark and you're not going to get business anymore. Just quit listening to the nonsense, people, really. So if you are buying leads, and my rule of thumb is if you're the first year in the business, don't buy leads. I'm 24 years in and I don't buy leads. So you can create your own business model, but please don't do so in your first year or two. You need to create income before you can invest back in your business. Real estate's a little backwards from having to buy a franchise, right? You don't have to put money in before you make money. So that's the myth over here on the right. You don't have to start with money and go spend a bunch of money on leads before you start making money. Make money first. And that goes back to leads, goes right back to what we just talked about, number 1, just the human relationships. However, if you are intent on buying those shiny objects, say Zillow leads, let's just use that as an example, then you want to make sure you're getting a 4-to-1 return on your investment. So what do I mean by that? Let's just say that you're spending $300 a month in Zillow leads. Then let's just say like on a 9-month period, that would equal $2,700 that you have spent out for leads. So you should have earned $10,800 in gross commissions, not your split, but the actual gross sales commissions. So if you are intent on buying leads, then that's only the rule of thumb, and I want to preach to you not to do it. Oh my, lead generation, 2 to 3 hours a day. That sounds so daunting, doesn't it? Oh my goodness gracious. Christine, there's just no way I'm going to spend 3 hours a freaking day calling people that don't even want to talk to me, or they're going to hang up on me. It's exhausting. Well, the good news is you don't have to call people 3 hours a day. That includes, look down here on the left, the breakdown is your prep time. Now, that's what the slide says. My thing is, I would rather you do the prep time the day before, right? So 30 minutes of prep time, you got to know who you're going to call. It's Monday. It's actually the middle of the workday already. It's freaking 11 o'clock. Who are you going to call today to generate leads? And I promise you, most people are home today because I got that little Super Bowl sickness. So we're happen to be talking today on the day after Super Bowl. And so I see, as I'm doing this presentation live and live on the water, I'm seeing all the boats go by my house. So somebody's out there playing today. Point is, you need to be at work. So you better know who you're calling this afternoon when you get off the webinar. So that includes the actual activity of the calls. And when I say calls, guys, this is 2020, right? So I'm totally cool with private messenger, text message. I personally hate text, but that's the way the world works. Emails, or actual live phone call. They say a phone call is the best. It's hard for people to avoid those, but if they see your number, they probably will. The point to this is it's not just, oh, I called 20 people today, only 2 answered. Well, that's not 20 contacts, my friends. 20 contacts is 20 interactive conversations. So that's when you're allowed to count the 20. So you get to count how many calls you made and how many contacts you made. That's your database number. So maybe you made 20 calls today and you only got in touch with 2 people and had 2 real estate conversations, then you actually made 2 contacts today. So don't cheat yourself. That's where people get all messed up. Well, I'm making all these calls and nothing's happening. Well, you're not really making the calls, or you're not really making the contacts. You're just making the calls. If they don't answer, it doesn't count. So that's one thing I want you to think about. So again, in 2020, if you're having a real estate conversation via messenger or text or whatever the mode of communication is, and they respond back and you happen to say, hey, hope you're having a great Monday. Hope you don't have the Super Bowl sickness. I'm busy at work today and I have goals for February. Just, if I would just love to pick your brain. Who's your go-to person for real estate? Who could you recommend to me? I'm looking to get more listings this month. So who do you know that's ready to sell their house in the next 30 days? Pretty simple, right? And that can be by text. And you know what? People aren't going to ignore that. You're not hounding them to sell their house. So it's not about attacking the person. It's about asking who they know. It's just that simple. So the other piece is, I also mentioned on the call, those of you that were on the mastermind this morning, this also entails the follow-up, putting the people in your database, sending them a handwritten note. That's what encompasses the whole 3 hours. The contacts, calls, texts, emails, whatever it is, putting them in your database and sending them a handwritten note. That's what encompasses 3 hours. I hope you feel better about that. Whoosh, right? So the next thing I want you to do, as my frame freezes up again, numero 4, moving right along, find an accountability partner and a coach, right? So what do I mean by that? So what do you think of when you hear accountability? That's a very boring word. And you're like, it means I'm back at the office and I have to make sure I'm there by 9 o'clock, right? So that I don't get written up. That's not what I mean, guys. Accountability is for everybody who's self-employed and just wants to stay on track. We can all go down the side roads, right? And the truth is, over here, nobody succeeds alone. I'm a coach and I have a coach, probably actually have about 2 coaches. So, and those of us in real estate, many of us work from home and it's easy to get distracted by the TV or, oh gosh, I need to take the trash out, or let me start some laundry while I'm sitting here today. And next thing you know, that leads to, let me go get the towels out of the bathroom. It's time to wash the towels too. And next thing you know, oh, well, got 3 dishes in the sink. Let me put them away. Don't get distracted by all that as you're in isolation. The other thing is boredom. So there's 2 challenges to working from home as entrepreneurs, like most of us do. So the isolation part, you can get over. I want you to stay engaged. I mentioned this morning, every month, I want you to attend some trainings. Go ahead and identify what those are through your brokerage calendar. And I think those of us on here are all with the same brokerage. Yay. So we know that we get those weekly text messages and emails with all the trainings coming up the next week. I'm totally cool with you going week by week. Just commit to, if it's 1 a week or 2 a month, whatever it is, just make sure you commit to keeping your brain on fire and either learning something new or enhancing a skill. So one of the best things I went to was, not last week, but the prior week, our broker had a little at the beach meeting, which they do monthly, and I'd never been to one. And it was some good stuff, guys. So even though I love training and coaching and getting out in front of folks and passing on my knowledge, I love soaking in knowledge because I can always learn. And everybody has a different perspective, or everybody has a different strength. So that led me to doing loans and lattes with some of our preferred vendors. And we just created this amazing video. I don't know if you've seen it on social media. It was a 6-minute long video where I was like the featured guest, and they edited it very professionally. And that thing is all over social media now. And that's going to just bring brand recognition from my coaching and training. So think about what you can do to get your business going in a manner like that as well. So don't isolate yourself. Make sure you're getting engaged. So that's the key there. The boredom part, that's the devil to real estate, right? Because we say real estate is not sexy. So just make sure that you are, if you're in a spot where you're not focusing anymore, and that happens to me, that's why everybody knows I get up super early, and the first hour or two of my day are for me. It's my morning routine. I go on and I research on Google, honestly, positivity memes or quotes that I post on social media. That's partly from my mindset and partly because people have told me that it helps them. They send me private messages. They're like, hey, I never comment, but oh my God, you have no idea how much that helped me today. That was the exact message I needed to hear. So people are paying attention to what you do on social media. So that positivity thing isn't fake. That's for you and to reach out to the people that you want to attract, which brings me to over here. You're the average of the top 5 people you associate with, right? So, and we hear this all the time, and we see it on social media, people posting it, and it's true. And for the longest time, I'm like, well, God, that's really stuck up. So that means you only want to hang out with people that are better than you, and they make more money than you, and they, you know, they've got the yacht, and they're taking these fancy vacations. And it doesn't mean that at all. It just means if you're not the best version of yourself, if you're not living the ideal lifestyle, whatever that means for you, if you're not here, if you're here, then start associating with people who have achieved the things that you want to achieve. For example, I am also a licensed real estate instructor, and I have been for 15 years. And I was trying to figure out for many years, well, how do I earn an income from that? Because that's a specialty license in the state of Florida. I think there's 1,000 of us that have that license out of how many freaking million that live here. So how do I make use of that to help others and to earn an income, right? Really, let's be honest. That's why we're in this business, is to fund our life. So it took me probably 10 years to get to where I reached out to my mentor, the person who owns the real estate school in Tallahassee, where I took my first class in 1996. He actually, first of all, he reached out to me, 2014, I guess it was, offered for me to be an instructor in his school. So what an honor that was. Ran into him at our instructor CE class that we're required to attend in person by the state. So I became an instructor for my mentor, which was even better mentorship, right? Because you guys know, as an instructor, we get evaluated on every class we do. So I had to learn my strengths and weaknesses and get better at the things I wasn't doing well as an instructor. That's an ongoing process. So that led to a few years later, 2016, so I guess 2 years later, I'm like, I'll be darned, I'm back in Jacksonville now, because that was Tallahassee, and I moved back here. I'd already been here before. I'm like, how in the world do I help provide the education needs of those in Jacksonville? We've got like 2 schools, so there's plenty of room for more competition, right? So I reached out to him again. He connected me with his publisher, and boom, I own a real estate school in Jacksonville. So that's what I mean is go get help from people that are doing what you do, and they're probably going to be flattered by it. But here's the trick. When you look back today at people that have helped you get to where you currently are, one of your written notes you should write today should be to those people, hey, just been reflecting, just want to let you know, I want to thank you for all the help you've given me through the years, and you've been one of my mentors, and I just thought you should know. So that's just an extra tidbit on today's little presentation here. So think about where you want to be and start finding those people that can help you get there in a generous way. So that's what I mean about the top 5 people. The other thing about that is, I'm not talking about just professionally. I'm talking about the brokerage. Make sure you're aligned with the brokerage that has the same vision and clarity as you. I have bounced around many, many times, and I have always learned, and each has been a stepping stone, so I have no regrets. The only regret is it makes me look unstable, because I've been affiliated with many different brokerages, like, oh, Christine's a little bouncy house, or she can't get along well with others. So there might be that connotation in some people's minds. However, overall, it's been a good thing. I have learned through all the different experiences and all my different positions as a site agent, as a sales manager for a builder, owning my own brokerage, as a productivity coach for a national franchise, as a sales manager for a national franchise, as an agent. All these different roles I've had have given me so much experience that I wouldn't regret it for a minute. So take a look and make sure you're with the right brokerage. And then in your personal life, guys, who are the people in your world, you know, there's that meme too about make sure the people in your boat are rowing with you and not poking holes in the boat. So you need to think about who you're socializing with too, because there's going to be jealousy, there's going to be animosity, there's going to be people that want to hold you back because they're freaking miserable in their own life. So don't let them hold you back, right? So let's move on. You're going to want to know what this is. Defining your standards and your systems, my friends. So what do I mean by this? So we teach people how to treat us. I don't know that there is a work-life balance. What I do tell people is that real estate is a lifestyle. So we have to learn how to manage the business and the personal all in one day. And up here, number 2, 88% versus 12%. What am I talking about right there? So let's chat about that for a minute. So according to NAR, National Association of Realtors, and I believe these were 2017 stats, don't quote me on the year. So they come out with these annual reports, profiles of home buyers and sellers and all that jazz. And when they surveyed these folks, 88% of people said they would use their same realtor again in another transaction, but only 12% actually did. So what happened? Well, it's what we said in number 1. People orphan their folks at the closing table. They don't put them in their database. They don't have a follow-up system. They don't keep in touch with them. They don't make them customers, referral partners for life. It's a one-shot, one-kill. And then there, you know, we also already mentioned that there's going to be relationship changes. So maybe somebody's sister got their license and they're a full-time realtor. So, you know, their family obligation to use that person. So 88% of people said they would use their realtor again, and only 12% do. So that's pretty powerful if you think about it. So the other thing is, you teach people how to treat us. So on that note, on my email signature and on my voicemail on my phone, which I realize nobody gets to the point where they listen to the voicemail, it says that if you're calling between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., yes, my people, that is those are business hours. Just because I'm in real estate doesn't mean I'm on call 24 hours a day. I don't have the salary of a doctor. So it says that if it's between 9 and 6, I will call you during the workday. If it's after 6, I will return your call or email the following business day. And if it's a Sunday, I will return your call on Monday. Why? Because Sundays are my day off. Do I work on Sundays? Occasionally. And maybe I'm on the computer, but it's not an appointment. Maybe I'm showing homes, but that's on a very as needed basis. So you need to teach people how to treat you. If somebody's emailing you or from a Zillow lead or something at 10 o'clock at night, you have to decide if it's worth that random lead from a stranger who's probably reaching out to 18 different people. If you want to respond at 10 o'clock at night, or if you want to respond the next day at 9, you get to set that up. Like I also said, as you're creating your February plan, and set aside the times that you have for appointments. You don't let people say, hey, I'm open this week. When do you want to go see that new condo listing? That's not what we do. We have to teach people how to treat us by setting our boundaries. Most particularly, we have to protect our time. So that's just being a professional. The bakery's not going to let us in there at 10 o'clock at night when they're all closed up, right? Maybe a bad example. I'm sure we're not all eating donuts, but you guys know what I'm saying. So what is your MVP, my friends? This is your mission, your vision, your values, your beliefs, and your perspective. Clarity equals power. We want to attract the people that we want to work with, and it's the compass for future decisions. So here's the crazy thing. This is probably the one thing where I know so many agents, I wouldn't say fail, they just didn't realize this is what we should be doing. It is so important to tell our story. So if you don't have a clear vision of who you are, what your strengths are as a realtor that is out there trying to get the same business as the other 9,000 people out there, how in the world do you expect other people to understand your strengths if you don't know A, what they are, and B, how to communicate that effectively to see the right people? I hope you guys are writing that down. Be authentic. Who are you? What do you bring to the table? And how do you effectively get that message across in a professional manner to the people that you want to work with? If you don't take away anything else from today, I hope that's something that you capture. Cool? Moving right along. So your MVVBP, write that down. I want you to work, if you've never done one, I want this to be one of your goals to be completed by Friday. Write down your mission statement, your vision. So your mission statement is you know, how you operate, what your goal is in real estate. And I don't mean, oh, it's to make reality out of people's dreams and help them into their next house. It's got to be a little more concise than that. Your vision is more of the bigger picture thing, of course. Your values, again, your values and beliefs kind of go hand in hand. Who are you as a person? And how do you attract the people that have the same value system as you? I mean, do you really want to work with just any random person out there and then you find out later that they're on the sex offender list? I'm just, you know, being bold with that statement, but you know what I'm saying. And then your perspective on things. I'm not saying that you have to work with people that are exactly like you, but you want to attract people into your world that have the same general beliefs. Like I have, you know, personal issues with people that have certain struggles and challenges in their life, because we can't fix everybody's problems. So I don't want them bringing their problems into my world. It's just that simple. So I want you to start thinking big picture, because you are running a business. Who are you trying to attract? Social media. We're only going to touch on this briefly because this could be a whole week's class, right? So social media is the low-hanging fruit, especially if you're putting those posts out there on, you know, hey, I want to serve 24 families. Who do you know this month? I'm on number 4. Well, guys, that's just random. So back to Facebook, what story are you telling? I already said you want to be authentic. And then the whole how you use social media and how you don't use it, I talk about that a lot in my Monday morning masterminds. So I've given some tips along the way on that. So again, be authentic. You want to make sure that you're mixing your business post and your personal post. And don't just go share articles. Like I just put one on there in between that call and this one. Don't go just share articles. Everybody else has done that. So somebody's seen that article 8 times by now and they read it last week. So if you're going to post a relevant real estate article, the one I put was the 2020 economy has surprised the experts. But I didn't just post the article. I said, so we've had a rocking beginning to 2020 in the real estate market here in Northeast Florida. So are you ready to sell your home in the next 30 days? Let's have a no obligation, no nonsense consultation. Call me, Christine Williams, broker associate with, and my contact information, because so many people just say, call me. And if we are advertising for business, not just if we put a listing on there, if we are asking for business, we're asking for buyers, asking for sellers, we have got to put our full contact information. Those are the social media rules per Florida statute. So I want you to keep that in mind too. So make sure you're doing a call to action. I didn't just post some random article that they read last week. I encourage them to contact me after reading the article. So I want you to think about your purpose and who are you trying to reach. And on that, I'm just trying, all my social media messages, if you'll start paying attention to what I'm doing, they're aimed to sellers. I'm not going to deny buyers, but they're going to come by default. All of my social media marketing is geared towards sellers. So figure out who you want to attract, buyers or sellers, and is there a niche? That's up to you. Moving right along, my friends. Be learning based and action focused. So what I say is I don't ever want people, I already mentioned this morning to you, by the way, go to training, stay engaged. I don't care if it's Facebook webinars, if you're doing something like this, a live webinar from somebody hopefully that you know. I don't care if it's somebody that you don't. YouTube's a great resource for learning, folks. Brokerages, conferences. There's tons of vendors who are always putting on classes for us as well. I went to an amazing condo class last year. I knew that all the condo rules were changing January 1st. I learned gobs. Thank God, because I had a new condo listing and then a month later I listed another one. So you got to stay in the know. However, number 2, don't be a professional student. I know some folks go to class after class after class, and really that's just their mental roadblock, so they don't get into action. So you need a blend. That's why my recommendation this morning was to pick 2. Pick 2 classes you're going to attend this month, whether it be webinar. And you guys know too, a lot of times if you'll register on the registration link, they will record it like this is being recorded. And that can be sent out to you even if you weren't able to attend it live. So find a webinar, find a live in-person class, whatever it is, but continue to learn, but don't let that be your full-time job. I want you to engage. Cool? So I'm not really worried about the education part. It's all this right here. I just want to make sure that you're engaged in real estate trainings. And you're never going to master the subject, so that's another way where people put a roadblock in front of themselves. I want you to know it enough to be competent, but it is so okay, and it is the right thing to do to be able to tell a person, wow, that's an interesting question. I've never had that asked before. Let me find the answer and get back to you. Customers want to hear the truth, right? So it is okay if you don't have all the answers. So don't say, well, I can't go on a listing appointment because I'm afraid they're going to ask me something I don't know. That's an excuse. So I also want people to develop the skill of active listening. As sales folks, we talk more than we listen. So I want you to get out of the habit of that and start asking questions that lead to an answer. And then what I call peel back the onion. Then once they give you an answer, go, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Huh. Wow, I never thought about that. Wow. So what does that mean to you? Ask the questions and you're going to finally get to the bottom of what they're really talking about. So again, I want you to be learning based, but action focused. Right? And if it's something that you haven't mastered yet, it is okay to take the same class over and over, guys. Just don't do it before you actually engage in it, right? So let's move right along. We're on a time crunch here. So number nine, what am I talking about? Track your business. This is the other thing people don't do. I mentioned conversion rates in my mastermind call this morning. So do you know how many people you have to talk to before you get a lead? And that could be, hey, I think my next door neighbor said they're going to sell their house this spring. Great. Is it okay will you please contact them and get permission for me to call them this afternoon? Right? Don't say, oh, great, give them my number. We have to be proactive, first of all. So your conversion rates are, there's different ones. Like I said, it's how many people do you contact to get a lead? How many of those leads become people in your pipeline? And how many of those people in your pipeline actually get to the closing table? So there's multiple levels of conversions. So that's how you create your business. It's not just, it'd be cool to do two closings two closings a month this year. That's not how we pick a goal. You need to first go back before you even track your business, figure out your real life budget based on what your real numbers are. Your light bill, how much money you spend on gas each month. I've got it broken down to how much money I spend at the grocery store and how much money I spend in the restaurants each month. And it's pretty darn consistent. And that's probably where I need to take a look at there's no way I'm eating all this food. So anyway, so go back and look at your budget, and that's how you determine how many closings you need each month. And that's when you backtrack into your conversion ratio. Okay, so if I have to talk to 50 people to get a lead, who am I going to call this week? So that's what I want you to think about. Tracking your business. Number 10, moving right along, treat it like a business. We've already talked about setting your boundaries and letting people know what your work hours are, and it is okay. I finally gotten to the point where people are like, I know you're up early, and they're texting me at 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes it's people just wanting to chat while they're getting ready. Sometimes it's real estate friends, that I'm helping in real estate, and they know I'm up early. Well, you know what? I stopped responding to them too. That 6:30 hour, my friends, that is not when I want to talk to humans. That's my time. So you need to set up a schedule, follow your routine. It is okay to wait until 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whenever your day starts to respond to those people. And luckily, most of them will be kind enough to say, I'm so sorry, I know it's super early, but I just wanted to put this out there before I go into my office early this morning for a meeting. Treat your business like a business. How many hours of the day are you really engaged in real estate activity? And if we're being honest with ourselves, and myself included on some days, truly, it's not as many as we want people to believe, is it? So I'm on a mission today personally. I get up early, so I literally woke up at 5:30, cut my light on at 6, should have gone to the gym. However, freaking, it was 40 degrees this morning, my friends. So I have moved the gym time to noon after we're on here. Point is I started my workday literally at 6:30 this morning, so I'm already 5 hours in. So I'm going to take my gym break in the middle of the day, and then I'm going to get back into the office. So I probably will put in an 8 or 9 hour workday today. If that is your goal, then make sure you're really setting a schedule. The other thing is, think about, again, how you're dressed. Think about how many hours you're showing up at your office. And you got to ask yourself this hard question. Looking at how you operate daily, would you hire you for a $250,000 listing? So think about how you're showing up in your business, because how you show up personally is how you're going to show up anywhere, right? So would you hire you? Numero 11, my friends. We've already talked about this a little bit, associate with like-minded people. And I don't mean that they've got to go to the same house of worship you go to or eat at the same restaurants, but just generally speaking, attract the people through your message, through your social media marketing, through your direct mail, through your drip campaigns that have some similarities as you, because that's how it's going to be fun. Work with people like you. It's just that simple. Number 12, master listing presentation. So here's the deal on this, guys. What they say is, generally speaking, you can handle 12 listings, and this is a common number throughout our industry. Without an assistant, without any help, you can handle 12 listings as an individual entrepreneur versus 8 buyers at any given time. So the rule to listings is leads to listings to leverage. Remember, I said personally, my personal business brand is trying to market to listings. They're much harder to get than buyers. Buyers are more plentiful, especially in our market. We have more people than we have homes to put them in, right? So everybody's competing still. Now, all that being said, the reason most business models ask you to go after listings is because it's less time consuming and you can have a better so-called balance of life. However, I just want to put this out there that some people love working with buyers. So if that's your business model, I'm here as a business coach today to tell you, if you prefer buyers over listings, then by all means, cater all of your marketing to buyers. That's perfectly okay. It's your business. It's how you want to run things. Just understand that it's going to be a lot more hours involved, and you're going to have to hire, I'm going to really encourage you to hire a transaction coordinator once you get to maybe 3 contracts pending to handle that load, so you can get back on the phones or back on social media to get more. Buyers are just a lot of work. It's just that simple. So figure out, first of all, if your business model is going to cater to buyers or to sellers. Personal plan, my friends. But if you are catering towards listings, you can do a higher volume in a shorter amount of time. That's just the rule. And of course, the listings, as we know, leads to the buyers anyway. Objections. Blech. Nobody wants to talk about this, right? Scripts and objections. So I think with most people, scripting and objection handling, it has a negative connotation, right? However, that does bring confidence if you'll memorize it and internalize it and then customize it. So that's the key to me. So I am not a fan of scripts. I can't stand it. I honestly did it every day for the first 8 months of my career, and that was 24 years ago. So I'm sure that I'm probably a little rusty on some of my responses, admittedly. However, the more you practice, the more it comes out naturally. And by now, at least I've closed so many homes that I can answer most questions in most situations, but it's a matter of practice. So if you're new in the business, by all means, find a script partner. You can find scripts and objection handling videos on YouTube for starters. Most brokerages have documents and resources. In my coaching program, I have a whole extra set of resources on that as well. So go figure out what you want to practice on if you're gearing towards buyers or sellers, and start practicing those with a script partner verbatim. And then once it comes out smoothly, totally fine if you personalize. In fact, I prefer that you do, because I'm all about authenticity. But if you're not practicing with a partner, you're going to be practicing out there in real life, and that's how you're going to flop and fail and lose business, and people are going to, make fun of you on your reviews. So go practice before you get out there in real life, whether it's buyers or sellers. Moving right along. So know your local market better than anyone. I think there's a lot of fail on this as well. So I want you to know the statistics. Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market at the very least? What's going on in new construction versus resale? And I'm not really concerned about you studying the MLS, but I know here at NEFAR, if you guys don't know this, NEFAR.com, there's a market stats tab. It's actually public. The public can access it. They just don't know it's there. So there's a monthly report and an annual report. It is the third. The January statistics will probably be out between the 15th and the 18th of the month in a couple of weeks. So it's a 50 to 55 page report, and it gives you just a smorgasbord of data. And what I do with that is I create a monthly marketing video every month and put it on social media. And I just kind of summarize the information in there. And then I do the call to action, because I let people know if you want the full report emailed to you, or if you want a CMA for your particular area of town or your neighborhood, call me. That's my call to action, right? So you got to know what's going on in your market. There's also tons of commercial development going on. So maybe you can do a development of the week feature on social media, but you need to know what's going on. You've got to be an expert in your local market. You don't want the public to ask you about something that's being built and you don't even know what they're talking about. So there's a lot of constant learning and studying going on in our business. Set goals, create a plan. As we're talking today, it is February 3rd of a new year, right? So I encourage folks on the call this morning I'm not worried about your annual plan at this point. That should have been done about 2 months ago, frankly. It should have been done somewhere between November and December of 2019. So all I want you to focus on right now is your February. So do you have a written plan in place with how many listing appointments you want this month, how many new buyers you want to work with this month, and then do you have it chunked down to the activities that are going to help you get those people? And I don't want you to be reasonable. I want you to shoot a little higher than you want to, because that's going to put the pressure on you to get engaged in things, get out of your comfort zone, and really work this as a business. So if January was a bust for you, even though everybody else on social media looked like they were having a rock star year, I saw some people bragging that they already earned more money in January than they earned all of 2019. I'm not worried about those knuckleheads, guys. Just worry about you. So if January you didn't meet your goals, let it go. This is a new month. It's a Monday of a new month. We have 4 full weeks. So worry about what you're going to do for February. Don't worry about everybody else out there. Like they say, don't compare other people's outsides to your insides. What are you going to do today? Do you have a written plan for how many people you're going to call, who you're going to call? Do you have blank handwritten notes you can make? What are you going to do? It's got to be in writing. So that's the trick. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So that's the chunk it down. You got to do it consistently too, guys. So if you only get in touch with 8 people today and your goal is 10 conversations a day, then you need to do 12 tomorrow. It's just that simple. Keep doing it and make it happen. It is slow and consistent, and you're going to have bad days. Write those off. Good. We're about to start wrapping up. Time blocking. Gross. Nobody wants to hear about time blocking, right? But I talked about this morning in the mastermind as well. It seems counterproductive, and a lot of people don't realize this, but the one thing you want to do is start with your family and your personal stuff first. Those are non-negotiables. So we say start with the non-negotiables first. So if you've got family things, a family trip, or a kid event that you can't miss, don't miss your child's dance recital because you're going to go show a home. You know, under extreme circumstances, they're relocating from out of town. They've got to get in this week. I get it. But generally speaking, you need to guard your family time or your personal time, whether it's your gym time or whatever it is that you do personally. Don't sacrifice yourself to help others, because you're never going to be able to serve them properly unless you're well. So take care of the people that matter the most to you first. They're first on your calendar, okay? And then we've already talked about the education piece. So go, whatever's already scheduled education-wise, that's already out there on the calendars. Go to Facebook events, go to NEFAR, go to your brokerage. The calendar's already out for February, and go identify the 2 or 3 classes you want to take this month. Boom, put them on your February calendar. The next, obviously, you need to figure out 15 hours a week on prospecting. If that's 2 open houses a month of sitting in there for 3 hours each time, that's 6 hours of prospecting as far as I'm concerned, because while you're there waiting to greet new people, you can make the calls or the handwritten notes. So there's 6 hours handled right there, my friends. 15 hours in a month is not that big a deal. Then look at little chunks of time that you can leave open and put buyer appointments or listing appointments, and leave those chunks open. So when somebody says, hey, I saw that new condo that came on the market, when can we go look at it this week? Well, I have Tuesday at 4 or Wednesday at 3. What works for you? So I want you to really dial in and think about building your business this way with the plan. You got to have the plan, and you got a time block. My calendar is a weird looking thing. So that's how you start, and then everything else goes in later. And by all means, please leave yourself some open time. I don't want you to have every hour of every day time blocked. You're going to lose your mind when you look at your calendar. So have some open time to move things around if needed, because life doesn't live by a plan. Live in abundance and not scarcity. What do we mean by this? So we see this on Facebook all the time too. It's about your mindset. Are you living in faith or fear? It takes the same amount of energy, but you can't do both. So we can talk ourselves out of being successful. We can talk about all those other people doing well, and maybe I just don't have what it takes. But the truth is, it's inside. So you are the only person standing in your own way. If you are licensed, and if you took the time to take a free webinar like this, then you've got what it takes to go out there and make your goals happen and fund your life through real estate. I truly believe that. But it's all in your activities and your mindset. So are you going to live in faith or fear? Are you just going to dive in and do it? Or are you going to go but? So think about that. So remember, you can have reasons or results, but you can't have both. And reasons, i.e., is actually excuses, right? And please, don't even worry about those 9,000 people out there. There's, last I checked, 1.7 million people just in Jacksonville. That doesn't include St. Augustine. That doesn't include Amelia Island. And there's, oh my gosh, I forgot the numbers moving into Jacksonville every day. So the people are there, but what are you doing to get in front of the people to create your business? And at the end of the day, does it really matter if Susie Q's earning $250,000 a year? If your goal was 70 and you made 75, does it really matter? No, it's about you and your goals. So go get it. Number 18, create a vision. We've already talked about this a little bit, so I just want to revisit this for just a minute. And again, this kind of goes back to hopefully you created an annual plan for 2020. I actually hosted 2 workshops on this at the end of last year to help some agents. I did mine. I've been doing an annual written business plan since 1999. So I got crazy down and dirty this year for the first time ever, realizing that we're in an election year and things are good, but we've been in such an expansive economy for years. I know just from history that things are going to slow down next year. So I was looking at where I can tighten up financially my overhead so that if my income next year is a lot lower than this year, I'm going to be good. So I've created a business plan on how many closings I need to have, how many coaching clients I need to have, and how many classes I need to sell, how many seats I need to fill to fulfill my budget this year that includes putting money in savings in an IRA. I want you to think about that as a real estate agent too. So I want you to create that plan. Cool? But you got to get down and dirty. Moving right along. So that all goes into your vision and your plan. And then you have to be able, like I said, with your MVVBP, once you figure out what road you're headed on and who you want to attract, you've got to figure out how to get your message out in a clear and concise way. Ooh, we're doing good on time, my friends. Yay. So know your big why. And we hear this all the time. It's like a buzzword these days, not just in real estate, but in real life too, right? Why are you in real estate? What about this wild, wacky roller coaster ride excites you? What motivates you to get up every day and say, I'm a realtor and this is how I want to make my living? And if you're finding more days where you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, and you're truly engaging in things, and maybe you need to revisit that as well. So we all have setbacks. I'll share with you in January, I had 3 prospective buyers. One I got from an open house last year. One is a friend's sister, and one I got from an open house in December. Or I'm sorry, in January. So between the 3 of them, I'm mentally adding up, oh my gosh, between the 3 of them, this will be $1 million worth of closings between now and March. Oh my gosh, how exciting. Spent hours showing these people homes collectively, right? All 3 of them, for various reasons, poof, disappeared out of my pipeline. It wasn't that they ghosted me or stopped talking to me. It was different situations. One might be relocating to South Carolina. One, her husband was not on board with the move at all. And the other one, frankly, good news is we didn't spend a lot of time looking, but she is darn determined to find a condo under $130,000 with a 50-pound mutt, so mixed breed, and 4 cats. And first of all, a lot of condo communities are threatening, and sometimes they do to run a DNA test because they don't want the vicious breeds there. They're not allowed because the master insurance policy won't cover any dog bites on the property. And almost every condo community I know, I don't know of any that don't, they will have a pet restriction. So 5 pets in a condo is probably not going to fly. So every time she got excited and sent it to me, I researched it for her, and I had to give her the bad news that you can't have all your animals with you there. So she has aligned herself with a realtor who is looking at the paycheck and not reality. And so she's decided that that's her person, and they're looking at condos. And I dread the day that realtor gets involved in a lawsuit because Susie Q, sweet little buyer, her next door neighbors complained about her 5 animals and the noise the cats are making, screaming at each other, and the HOA has kicked her out. Just saying. So that's number 2, and that was a personal experience. So my January was ugly, but it's okay. It's February, guys. It's all good. It's gonna be 70 degrees today. I wrote my business plan for February this weekend. It's gonna be fine. So your why, again, is it big enough that it evokes emotion in you? That's what number 3 is all about. So are you passionate about doing this? Is this really what you want to do? So conversely, when I help out real estate clients, agents, I have them write a success letter and an apology letter. So if you don't meet your goals this year, who else is dependent on you? In other words, who else are you letting down? So, and I see somebody saying something. Hi there. So who else are you letting down if you don't meet your goals this year? So I want you to think about that as well. So the reason you're in this has to be bigger than just you, and it has to be able to fund your life. On those bad days, you got to be able to put your big girl panties on and get right back up. So, and keep asking, because your why can change, by the way. So I want you to think about that too. So are you all in? So is your mind and your heart and everything, are you completely in this? Or are you just like, I'm going to try real estate and see what happens? Are you really in this? So I want you to start thinking about all these. And then as we start to wrap up, I promise you be like 45 minutes to an hour. So we're great on time right now. So I'm also, in addition to a real estate coach, I am a real estate instructor too, as I've mentioned. So if you're interested in 4 hours of CEs, I wrote this course, Successfully Selling New Construction, because as I mentioned earlier, I've been a real estate site agent for builders. I've been a sales manager for builders. I've been on what I call the dark side in general on where we are now for many, many years. So I wrote this course to help you learn the new construction process, help you learn how to register your buyer, help you learn how to promote your value to the buyer so they can try to cut your commission and get that 1% rebate back they seem to all ask for, et cetera, et cetera. So there truly is limited seating because we're hosting it in the model home of Providence Homes with actually my friend Tammy Moorfield is sitting out there for Providence. So she got permission from her sales manager for us to do this together. So it's 4 hours of CEs. If you want to screenshot this screen, you've got to register because obviously if you're not on the registration sheet, we can't let you in the door that day because it is a FREC approved class, so it has to be monitored. And then as we kind of wrap things up, like I said too, you guys I think know that I'm a real estate coach. So I am looking to bring on 2 more clients in the month of February. I'm only doing a handful in 2020. I'm not that person out there trying to make money off of a gazillion quick little coaching calls and bill you for that. I want to get to know people one-on-one. So that, my friends, is the 19 things. It wasn't any big secrets. I wasn't selling you a lead generation system. It is all the foundational pieces. You probably knew most of it. You just, maybe you needed the reminder, or maybe you took away some nuggets that you hadn't thought of. So as we wrap up in the next few minutes, I just kind of want to open the floor. Anybody have any questions on anything? You're welcome to speak. Take yourself off of mute, or if you want to put it in the chat box. Anyone? Well, in that case, my friends, I appreciate you showing up. We had a bunch of people registered, and they must have the Super Bowl sickness today because they didn't show up. So love you all, and I will, I'm going to have this recorded, so I will email this to both of you too. So have a great week, guys.